What's Miles from Black Women TV? Hello, folks. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Now, when you think about your characters, one is frick, the other one's frat. Phillipa, you're the one with no conscience, but Will is. So, what went into taking these roles, and did you do any research in terms of the salesmen that have to do these jobs? Phillipa?
Sure. Well, both of our roles are not necessarily based on real people, but sort of combination of a bunch of people that we sort of represent a group of people. And, I think for me, it was really fun to get to play someone, fun and challenging, to get to play someone who doesn't necessarily stand on the same moral ground that I personally stand on. But, as an actor, getting to dig into why she does what she does, what's at stake for her, and especially, getting to interact with Will's character, she has a very different perspective, but I think she makes a sound argument. And for her, it's really hard to try and put herself into somebody else's shoes that she doesn't know and she'll never meet. And how can she put their needs above her own when she herself is just struggling to get on a path of ownership of her own life.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Will? Your character seems to he does his job, but then he develops the conscience at some point, So what went into taking this, and what did you want to bring to the table knowing what you had to do?
Yeah. Well, I guess first and foremost, it was about kind of familiarizing myself with, what it took to become a Purdue pharma rep at that, at that time. And it's my understanding that you don't need any kind of medical qualifications or any real sort of scientific knowledge at all, which in the first place was frightening. And to my mind, Billy was a kind of middle of the roader, a pretty average achiever, academically speaking, and would have been attracted to something that had the kind of prowess and prestige of working in the medical world without necessarily having kind of any of the sort of high-flying grades or qualifications. And it also utilized his skills as a people person, as someone who had the gift of the gab and, had decent interpersonal abilities. But I think ultimately, he's a kid who is pretty insecure and is driven by his own motivations to kind of, achieve some status, to seem successful in other people's eyes. He's sort of doing it for external approval as opposed to any kind of real sort of internal drive to make something of himself. And that's where he goes wrong. And so in that respect, I don't think his heart is ever really truly in it. And that allows his mind to stray, once he comes up against kind of some of the moral issues. But, he's certainly tempted and indeed engages in the trappings of money and success that come with the job.
Have you ever had jobs where you had to do sales at some point, whether you liked it or not? Like, whether it's a department store, pizza, or whatever, trying to engage somebody to buy what you're selling, even though for some people it's just a job, you gotta make money, and others it's like, oh, they really want to do it. Any one of you?
Sales. I did a lot of teaching. It's like those were my first jobs, were teaching kids and stuff like that, which is very, very different. But I had a lot of friends who worked in sales, and I think there's a disconnect with the whole system at large. You're really just there to do your job, and I think that's how many Americans feel. They just want to show up and do their job and feel taken care of. But unfortunately, we've come to a place where big companies and corporations are given more humanity than actual people. Yeah. And that's what I hope this story does, is have people ask the right questions in terms of how did we get here and what are we doing wrong and how do we make that better. And I think that starts with just having people actively participating in their government and having free and fair elections so they can elect people that represent them and do what we want them to do.
Right, yeah.
It's an intriguing series that people will be fascinated to watch. It's good talking to you guys wherever you're at. Stay safe. We'll talk down the road.
Thank you.
Take care.